She always said that if I go, no one will ever find me.
Did you ever think that perhaps Bill was murdered?
They're the type of things that go through your head, but we always hoped that one day that he'd walk in the door.
We feared immediately that she was dead.
Neeve was picking apples down near Batlow in the Snowy Mountains back in 2002 and was expected to go home for Easter and didn't arrive.
She was due to arrive at 7:13, according to the train timetable.
But Neeve never caught her train, and no one has seen her since.
We feared immediately that she was dead.
4 years after Neeve disappeared, there's new information, a new search, and new hope for her family. This new search for Neeve's possessions left behind by her killer is based on recent evidence that links Neeve's disappearance to a new area of bush.
If we find anything, what we're looking for today is property, is a big thing. There's a picture floating around. Leah had a backpack, a number of bags, suitcases and shopping bags, which the analysts believe were all together.
Neeve's parents have had to come to terms with the reality that if they do find their daughter's possessions out here, they might also find her grave. But with 4 seasons of growth covering the forest floor since Neeve disappeared, finding any clues in here is no easy task. With the search well underway, Neeve's brother Kieran recalls crucial information that supports the theory that this is the area where Neeve spent her last hours alive.
Went to the pub and the barmaids there gave pretty good descriptions of the people she was hanging out with. That afternoon I was able to piece together she was last seen in a black hearse. They don't know the name of the guys, but they think they went camping.
The driver of the hearse and the last person to see her alive is 32-year-old Jack Nicholson. And this is the very campsite where Jack Nicholson told Neeve's brother Kieran that he took Neeve.
That's probably the time when I first realised that she was in serious trouble, you know.
These photos police found in Nicholson's hearse were taken at the campsite just before Neeve disappeared.
You could drive there from here in 10 to 15 minutes. No one's going to see you, and then you can do what you like. Neeve has been taken willingly or unwillingly with that vehicle wherever it went.
I managed to speak with Jack on the phone, and that's when he told me a story about dropping her off on the Go-Cup Road to hitchhike to Cootamundra. I just felt sick in the stomach talking to this guy and knowing that he was telling me this.
When police questioned Nicholson, they knew Neeve had already bought a ticket home, so his story that he dropped her off because she wanted to hitch a ride didn't stack up.
We had nothing else to go on. We conducted a search of the Go-Cup Road. That failed to turn anything up which would link us to Neeve.
So police had no option but to let Nicholson go.
6 months after Neeve's disappearance, we were probably in our best position, I think, to drag him back in and question him further. Sadly, though, he was arrested in Brisbane, Queensland, for a very violent crime against a 19-year-old girl. And whilst in police custody in Brisbane, he jumped from a 3-storey car park to his death.
We knew that he was the only person that realistically could tell us what happened. And when I found out he'd killed himself, I was just so angry. I couldn't believe it. I was so frustrated. That was our best chance of knowing what had happened.
Oh, it was terrible. Not because he died so much, it's because our real link to the disappearance of Neeve was gone.
After 10 hours of searching the forest near the campsite where Neeve was last seen alive, volunteers again return empty-handed.
You know, you always hold out hope and you really want to hope that something's going to come of it, but at the same time you know that that there may not be any luck.
And we are so grateful that you've done it. Even though we haven't found anything, we've achieved something, because for us and for you, it's covering in a little bit more of that map in the hope that eventually something will come up.
But as the searchers leave, police have to face the brutal reality that Neeve may never be found.
I'm hopeful that we will find her, but I don't necessarily, I'm patient. I'm a really patient person, so I'm prepared to wait decades.
30 years ago, you could become anybody you wanted to be.
She always said that if I go, no one will ever find me.
Missing mum, Veronica Green.
This is the original report that was filled out on the 15th of the 2nd, 1976. Although there's many, many missing persons, there's some jump out at you and grab you, and you don't try more on one than you do another. But this one certainly got my heart, I suppose.
There's you, look at that.
This case is special for Helen because when Veronica disappeared 30 years ago, she also left behind two young daughters. They've spent years working closely with Helen, trying to find their mum.
We came across a photo yesterday when Penny and I were looking at some photos, and we didn't even think of this one, but I reckon that this one is probably the most recent of Mum. And I'm thinking if we could even get that up at Truck City in Campbellfield, because that's where they used to go.
Jackie was only 7 years old. Her sister Penny, just 14, when their mum vanished.
The night before she left, I did my little prayer and then jumped into bed, and she would always just tuck me in. I'd had a dream that 2 nights previous that that she left, and so I thought I'd ask her, Mummy, would you ever leave us? And she said, of course. And she said, don't be so silly. And she never finished tucking me in, and she walked out the door so fast. And the next day that was it.
On the day Veronica went missing, she's went to work. She's said goodbye to her colleagues at the train station, and that's the last anybody saw of her.
That must have been so incredibly difficult for her. As a mum, I can't imagine how hard that must have been. And from reports, we were told that she cried all day. She cried all day at work.
I do remember conversations where Dad would say, in their heated arguments, if you ever leave, don't ever take those children because I will find you. I actually remember once I just stood up and I said to him, if it wasn't for you, we'd still have a mother.
Over the years, family members claim to have seen Veronica on a number of occasions, and always with the same man.
We only know Mum's partner to be Steve-O, and that he apparently left his family at about the same time as Mum. I think that Mum was so desperate to perhaps escape what she was going through, that if there was someone willing to step up and give her a hand in doing that was completely removed from the family.
Helen now realises she may be looking for a woman who just doesn't want to be found.
If you were driving on trucks and you were travelling interstate, you would be harder to track, harder to find. And she always said that if I go, no one will ever find me. I don't think she is Veronica Green or Veronica Midcraft anymore, and that's, if only we had a name.
30 years ago, you could become anybody you wanted to be. And now, how many names has this woman taken on? And that's one of the things that I look at when I make my inquiries. I do them all in her maiden name, any other name that she may have used at any time.
Just as Helen prepares to leave, Jackie drops a bombshell. She's just heard that her mum may have had a baby boy over 30 years ago who could have been adopted out.
My auntie and my mum were fairly close, and she often says that Mum agonised over giving her boy up. And
if Penny and Jackie can find a brother, it may be the best chance yet of finding their mum.
That perhaps she may have contacted him, and there may be a connection there.
Jackie thinks her mum Veronica had the baby in Sydney.
Oh, gee, if I could just see her again and that would just make my world complete. I don't feel like my life's complete.
30 years of tears may finally be wiped away if Darren's search for Jackie's missing brother is successful.
I just want to know how you got on with that birth, deaths and marriages check for me for Veronica Green.
OK, contacted Birth, Deaths and Marriages. They ran a check on her, found that she did in fact have a child, but there's only going to be one problem: that child was adopted.
It's probably going to come as a bolt out of the blue for her daughters, because now they're going to have a whole new fresh range of emotions that are going to be dragged up. That all of a sudden they're going to realise that they have a brother out there somewhere as well as a missing mother.
But with every new lead also comes renewed hope of finding Veronica.
Yeah, just sitting here then, it was quite surreal, because I felt like I could really, I feel like I can really celebrate this birthday.
For 12-year-old grandson Josh, today is also another sad birthday without his gran.
Everyone else has a grandma. We don't have anyone to look up to or anything, to go and have fun at their house, right? I don't know.
It's just a little bit missing, isn't there?
Yes.
There's that piece missing.
That's all right. One day, baby.
It was my fault. I mean, to have memories of us fighting as my last memories of you, it's been really bad, and I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I love you so much. Please come on.
Did you ever think that perhaps Bill was murdered?
Well, they're the type of things that go through your head, but we always hoped that one day that he'd walk in the door.
Mum's asserted that it's out of character for her son just to disappear off the face of the earth.
There's a lead in the case of Bill Roach, missing for 12 long years. Mark will leave for Armidale in a matter of hours.
OK, leave it with you.
Bill was last seen in 1993, aged 25, and he's assumed by many to be still hiding from his family and friends.
Bill was heading towards an alternative lifestyle. He'd been experimenting with drugs and just kind of wanted to drop out of normal society. On the surface, I think Bill's appearance and demeanour led people to believe that Bill's just wandered off, maybe even left the state and just gone set a new life up. Thankfully, new information has been received, and now we're viewing it as probably something more serious.
In Armidale, the Missing Persons Unit joined with a local task force to search for Bill Roach.
Cases never really close, and even though on the surface they appear to be simple, who knows what twists are around the corner.
Bill's parents and sister Kim have just learnt the police have uncovered disturbing evidence and witness accounts concerning Bill.
We believe now, as a result of our investigations, that he has died as a result of foul play.
Did you ever think that perhaps Bill was murdered?
They're the type of things that go through your head, but we always hoped that one day that he'd walk in the door.
If we could have closure and then we can get on with the rest of our lives. And otherwise you're still hoping for that knock on the door or the phone call.
Bill went missing 12 years ago now, and we are searching for his remains, and we're also searching for any property that may have belonged to him, or really anything that could tie Bill into the story we've got that he actually may have died in or around that area. At the time Bill was reported missing, there wasn't a lot done. It could have been the case that because of his state of mind, he decided to take his own life. But there are a lot of unanswered questions for the family, and you know the police investigation at the time was basic, to say the least.
I can see now it is happening, and I appreciate the fact that all these people are out there looking for him. And I just hope that anyone listening that knew Bill, if there's just the slightest little bit of information or just might be the piece to the jigsaw. It's 11, 12 years now, and it's just never gets any easier, let me tell you.
SES volunteers, local police and divers converge on Springwood, his last home. Now Bill's family have to confront that his home may also be his grave.
Well, I don't think it really hit yet. I think it's about to start to hit.
He's got to come back, you know. You feel that he's probably gone, but you certainly hope that he's going to turn up. You expect it one day.
Yeah, you never lose that hope.
No, you never lose that
Never lose that hope.
When you talk with Yvonne and the rest of the family, you can almost see the pain on their face. They don't know what happened to Bill. They haven't seen him since late 1993. When I talk to Yvonne, she's always talking about Bill walking through the door, and she's told me numerous times she goes up to people in the street thinking it's Bill. This is the place Bill used to come. It's probably the place he talked about.
It's also the place that police suspect Bill's body was disposed of, a haunting image for his mother, Yvonne.
So what do you reckon? Thrown over or?
Sorry?
Pushed over, thrown over or?
Well, I don't know. We don't know. We'll see what we can find in there first, I suppose.
There's been a whole lot of scenarios going through, and they're the sort of things that you've got to live with and keep you awake of a night. Did they suffer? Was it quick and easy, or, you know, and how and why, and, you know, you just go on and on and on.
Ideally, we'd like to find a set of human remains, and if the bones are intact and there's, say, for instance, a jawbone, we may be able to backtrack and find a dentist that Bill had been to and find dental work, and then we have the forensic dentists who will compare the dental charts, and they can give specialist evidence that jawbone belongs to the missing person's dental records. So there's all avenues we have to explore. Hello, Mark. How are you going?
Mark, how you
Missing
going?
Persons Unit 2. I work
Thank
with
you.
Steve.
It's relieving that it is happening, but it's very frustrating, and a bit of emotion would be anger that it should have been done a lot sooner than this.
We did a whole lot of things, going to the police and they're not having enough evidence and this and that, and people not really listening to what we're trying to say.
In this case, all along, Mum's asserted that it's out of character for her son just to disappear off the face of the earth. And hopefully, Mum will be proved right. May albeit 12 years later, but hopefully we can say to Mum, well, yes, your hunch was right, and we'll get some resolution for the mother.
As police and volunteers prepare for one last sweep of the waterhole and surrounding bush, forensic detectives focus on the farm. The mystery of what happened to Bill Roach may be found in the floorboards of this old cottage.
Today we're looking for evidence that of foul play, basically. We've been tasked to discover evidence of perhaps body fluids or blood. We removed a certain amount of carpet and applied a number of chemical treatments. We've got a couple of positive indications that there was some body fluids in the residence.
If remains are found, then obviously the process of DNA testing has to take place to establish that it is in fact the missing person. And we have to make sure that a DNA sample is taken from a blood maternal relative to compare the DNA.
On a trail full of twists, Sergeant Samways discovers information that may be devastating to the Roach case. He learns that Bill was adopted. Yvonne is not his biological mother. There may be nothing to match the DNA and forensic material found in the cottage.